Good morning, everyone. I'm Janae McLeish, and welcome to The Talk. Our topic that we'll be addressing today is the obesity epidemic seen across the country. We'll have 4 guest speakers visiting with us to align us on why we see this epidemic and the results because of it. To start off, our first guest speaker will be Miss Moniece Johnson. Everyone, welcome Moniece.
Hello, everyone.
So tell us, Moniece, what are your thoughts on the correlation between poverty, lower incomes, and obesity?
Well, I really do believe that lower incomes and poverty correlates with the increase of obesity. Since healthier foods are more expensive, fatty foods are more likely to be consumed. In the State of Obesity article, I came across that African American families have earned $1 for every $2 earned by white families for the past 30 years. More than 38% of African American children under the age of 18 and 42.7% of children under the age of 5 live below the poverty line, and more than 12% of African American families live in deep poverty, which is less than 50% of the federal poverty threshold. 1 in 4 African American families are food insecure, which means not having consistent access to adequate food due to lack of money or other resources, compared with 11% of white households.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How do you feel that minorities don't have access to health foods, or they're just not choosing to buy healthier groceries?
Minority communities have more Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger Kings than they do Walmart's, Target's, or any other supermarket. In the Obesity Prevention in Black Communities article, it states families in predominantly minority and low-income neighborhoods have limited access to supermarkets and fresh produce. A study of selected communities found that only 8% of African American residents live in areas with 1 or more supermarkets, compared with 31% of white residents. When compared with other neighborhoods, without regard to income, predominantly black neighborhoods have the most limited access to supermarkets to the healthier foods such as market sells. This leads to higher chances of going out to eat rather than staying home and eating a home-cooked meal.
As a college student at Xavier University, which is located in a predominantly black neighborhood, do you make healthier choices when it comes to eating?
Yes and no. I gradually find a banana here and there. I try to contain vegetables every day, but as a college student, we are considered a part of low income or poverty. Most of us don't have jobs, and we rely on the campus to provide healthy choices. Now, when they don't have them, then we're off to those fatty food restaurants due to the fact that there isn't any Winn-Dixie or Rouse's in walking distance.
Well, there you have it. Fast food restaurants are placed in lower income communities more than supermarkets, increasing the rate of obesity. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to our 4-part series on the obesity epidemic seen across the country. If you're just tuning in now, we had Miss Moniece Johnson talk to us about the lack of healthy foods options in lower income communities. With us now is Mr. Marcus Smith, who will be talking to us about the different food cultures seen within the ethnic groups of those who display high obesity rates as opposed to those with lower obesity rates. Everyone welcome Mr. Marcus Smith. Glad you can make it. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking.
Okay. So tell us, Marcus, how do the food cultures play a role in the obesity epidemic?
Well, we all know that one of the major factors for increasing rate of obesity that's happening today is basically the types of food that we eat. But to understand which race is affected by obesity the most, let's talk about the different types of food that certain races consume. Now, according to dimensionalculture.com, let's first start with Caucasian Americans, who although like to consume foods that consist of red meat, animal fats, sugary desserts, high-fat salty foods, processed foods, and alcohol, they also eat plant-based food, fruits, vegetables, whole grain foods, poultry, and fish. Next, you have the Asian Americans, and most of their food consists of meat, fish, rice, and vegetables. Then you have the Hispanic Americans, and while they have a high consumption of flour tortillas, white rice, and processed foods, most of them are beginning to replace traditional meals with fast food meals, which is contributing to the increase of obesity. Lastly, there's African Americans, and although we tend to cook our food and engage in healthy eating at times, we do also engage in a certain tradition called soul food.
Okay, tell me more about the soul food tradition and how does it play a part in obesity?
Well, for starters, on Sundays, mainly at the church, we tend to have a large family gathering, and with a family gathering, you have to have food around.
Okay, tell us more about the foods at these gatherings.
Well, according to dimensionalculture.com, during this event, we make meals like fried chicken, pork chops, chitterlings, grits, cornbread, macaroni and cheese, husk puppies, and so much more. Now, don't get me wrong, they're great to eat, but they are part of poor eating habits in the African American community, due to most of them being high in calories and high in trans fat, which also contributes to our growing rate of obesity.
Do you believe that our culture could change our eating habits for the better?
Well, of course, any culture can change their eating habits for the better. The problem is that many cultures have a tradition of making certain foods, which would make it harder to try to change it so that it can be healthier. It's also harder for us African Americans due to not living near stores that sell food that's healthy or organic, and that we live by fast food restaurants that are constantly tempting us to go there and not cook at home. And you can guess the results of what will happen. I mean, Caucasian Americans have stores that are walking or driving distance by the neighborhoods. Even Hispanic and Asian Americans may have some mini markets by them. But for African Americans, the closest store by us that is walking distance is a convenience store. And we all know that that's the last place to find healthy food, in which they will probably have none.
I agree. So what do you think we should do in the end?
Simple. Just change. Yes, it is a pain to try to change your eating style because every food's culture is different. Believe me, I know. But starting off small is a good way to do it. If we could replace fried foods with baked foods, change food that is processed in a can with food that are in the produce section, eat less junk food and more fruits and vegetables, and stop going to fast food, and instead make food at home, then we can lower down obesity rates for everyone.
It'll be a slow process, but I think we can make it in order to decrease the obesity rates.
Absolutely.
Well, I believe our time is up, but thank you, Mr. Smith, for stopping by today. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And we'll be right back with this quick break. Welcome back to The Talk. We're continuing our four-part series on the obesity epidemic seen across the country. We will now focus on the regions of the country where the biggest obesity rates occur. To discuss this with us, we have Mr. Edward Brown. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us, Edward, what areas of the country are more susceptible to high obesity rates?
Well, everyone, when it comes to having the worst eating habits, it's mostly our southern states that wins the topic. In fact, according to CNN News article, Obesity Rising, southern states have highest rates. The top 10 states most affected by the obesity are southern states, except for one, Michigan in the Midwest region. The states with the highest obesity rates has been the southern states. Mississippi, for example, has been number one for the state with the highest obesity rate for the past 6 years.
So why do you think the southern states have this obesity problem?
Well, personally, I honestly think it's the fact that in the South, physical activity and quality of food is not high. But it makes sense physically since that the fact that its summers are always so hot in the South. So in return, people are not going to want to be in the mood to work out or even do anything in the first place. And food-wise, we all know we love our southern food, fried, especially our fried chicken and catfish.
Well, since those two examples seem to be the main cause of this, how do you change this?
According to poverty main cause of obesity problem in the South, Mississippi's public school require at least 150 minutes of physical activity instruction and 45 minutes of health education instruction each week for students in kindergarten through the 8th grade. Also, public schools are currently banned from selling full-calorie soft drinks to students. And if you require this in more states, this can change a person's lifestyle to a healthier one to push them away from obesity.
I agree. There definitely needs to be a change to be more active, not only in the South, but everywhere to decrease the obesity rates. Thank you, Edward.
Appreciate it.
We have now reached the end of our four-part series on the obesity epidemic seen across the country. To end out the series, we have Miss Lonnie Turner, who will describe some of the negative impacts as a result to the high obesity rates in these communities. Welcome everybody, Miss Lonnie Turner.
Hello.
Tell us, Lonnie, what are some of the effects of having such a high obesity rate?
To start off, many of our minority communities do not have proper access to healthy food choices. We have also seen a decrease in physical activity across the nation. The editors of the State of Obesity in their Physical Inactivity in the United States article reported that 80% of American adults do not meet the recommendations for aerobics and muscle strengthening. And it's not a coincidence that the states with the highest rates of physical inactivity is in the South, with Mississippi having the highest reported percentage of inactive adults at 31.6%.
Oh, wow. Physical activity can't be the worst side effect of becoming from obesity.
It's not. Since the obesity rates have increased, so has the rates of people affected by diabetes and hypertension, most commonly known as high blood pressure. In an article about the diabetes in the United States, it states that the diabetes rates have nearly doubled in the past 20 years. And you can guess where the highest rates of diabetes are.
The southern states?
You're absolutely correct. More than 29 million American adults are affected by this disease, and another 86 million Americans are diagnosed with prediabetes. 9 of the 10 highest diabetes rates are in the South, with West Virginia being the highest at 14.1%, and Mississippi right behind with 13%.
Are the trends similar with those affected by high blood pressure?
Technically, they're worse. The same authors of Diabetes in the United States wrote a similar article titled Hypertension in the United States, and in this article, it was reported that 1 in every 3 American adults have hypertension, and approximately 30% of these can be attributed to obesity. The 10 highest states with the highest rates of high blood pressure are all located in the South, and these states all have hypertension rates over 35%. As a result, obesity has become one of the biggest drivers of preventable chronic diseases in healthcare, costing between $147 billion to nearly $210 billion per year, as reported by the healthcare cost of obesity.
Well, there you have it. We have heard some surprising information related to the obesity epidemic. In order to see a change in the country, we must first start with ourselves. Thank you for turning to The Talk. I'm Jamie McLeish, and this is Miss Turner. Join us tomorrow. We'll talk about superstar Drake marrying a small-town girl, Janae. Thank you.